Are we on? Yeah, okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to the Planning and Licensing Committee, Tuesday, the 4th of February at 6 o'clock. Duncan, do we have any apologies?
We have just the one apology this evening, and that's Councillor Brooke.
Okay. I think we have a permanent apology from Councillor Bell. And I think the rest of us are here, aren't we? Because we're now down to just the 6 members. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Margaret, for coming in. Do we have any declarations of interest that we know about?
Yes, I do. And yes, I do. Application 5, which I'll duly leave the room for.
So we have the minutes for the 22nd of January, which is that our 45
and the 15th.
And the 15th. It's not on the agenda, but
oh, sorry.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
is it?
Should
Both
be.
there. It's on the digital one.
It's on the digital agenda, not on the printed agenda. But
Oh,
I'll take
I
your
do
word.
apologise.
So yes, we have 2 sets of minutes, one of which only lasted 45 minutes, which is a record. I'm sure everybody has read them. Has anybody got any comments they want to make on them, or can I just propose both of those minutes for no? Thank you. You seconded. Show of hands. Thank you. I take it, Katie, you're supporting it. That's a nod. It's okay. Okie dokie. Does anybody have any matters arising from them? Take that as a no. Public question time. We have a couple of if you'd like to come forward and. Hang on a minute. I've jumped through meeting management issues just to say that I know you've come in for the application 1. What we will do is after you've said your piece and anybody's asked any questions, we will bring that straight up on the agenda with the agreement of the committee so that we can get it and you can get out of here pretty quickly. So thank you for coming in. I think, do I have to declare public questions or propose public questions?
It's on the agenda. It's on the agenda.
Feel free, tell us what you want to tell us.
Hello, yeah. Sam, this is Kat. We're from the
The benefit anyone who's working, it looks like the planning application is to completely build the units on Killicourt, which is nonsense. All you're doing is asking for a change in the conditions.
Yes, that's it. Just a change in the conditions, so it's a later hours, earlier start and later close.
Looking for any extension of the area because. When we originally set that particular cafe up, they were asking for an extension of the licensing area to go straight under the windows of the retirement home next door, and we didn't like that. You're just saying within the curtilage that you have already that you just want to stay open until sunset. Fundamentally, is it?
Within the just in the area.
Yes.
Just in our little section.
Yeah. But you're not asking to extend it further. You're merely saying the times within your.
Yes, yeah. The time. We're not extending. We're not building any.
No.
Intends to go across the park or anything like that. No. We're intercepting our little parameter as a wall and you no through there.
Would have been the other side that was the problem, going nearer to the retirement home, so that they were going to say. That would have been the problem, behind the bandstand and sort of going right up to the edge of the site, because that's not, I think, not appropriate. But
There's no benefit to that. It's the time with which the people could be okay.
anyone else got any questions?
I'll just come in with a quick. I'm assuming you've run this past the office before coming here. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
We haven't had any notification as councillors, although I'm sort of on the working party for the Killicourt, but I've had no acknowledgement of this until I read the papers 2 days ago. So I just wanted to make sure that the office were.
I can just give you a little bit of reassurance and background. When we discussed the application, Joe Piwecki provided me with some information about what has taken place to date. Okay.
Anybody else got any questions on this? Okay, well, what I'm going to do now is close public questions and propose that we move the application up now. At that point, in theory, you're not allowed to make any contribution, but occasionally we sort of ask a question and sort of the answer comes. But on the theory is, once we close public question time, you are silent. So there's nothing else you want to say? Okay. Okay, I propose that we close public questions and move this item, application 1, up the agenda to discuss it now. Show of hands for that? Yeah, everybody's happy. Duncan, if you'd like to take us through application 1.
Certainly, I think this is more of a talking application than a looking at plans one, to be honest. So the description refers to without compliance of condition 5 of the original 2019 decision notice. Condition 5 reads: the cafe, stroke restaurant, hereby permitted, shall only operate between the hours of 8 in the morning and 6 p.m. on any day. The opening hours that are being proposed under this application are 7 in the morning, so an addition 1 hour earlier in the morning, and until 10 o'clock at night. Although I think from what Sam has been telling us, that's probably going to be more in keeping, that 10 o'clock finish, with the daylight. So, wouldn't probably be staying open till 10 on a February evening.
My crowd that one I should have asked Sam. Effectively, at 10 o'clock, we can have a lovely late sunset in the summer. Is 10 o'clock going to be late enough, do you think?
Sunset 9:34 is the latest sunset.
Okay, there you go. I think it sets later on Bristol.
And our deputy town clerk has been working with Sam and his wife on this. He says the application has full support of the Environment and Facilities Committee that manage the site and premises. Yeah, that's really it, to be honest. It's quite a straightforward, just extension of hours.
Had they had a meeting, Margaret, you might actually have heard about this.
As you know, was cancelled, so.
I don't have the date of the meeting, unfortunately. A bit poor of me, but.
Any problem with this?
One additional. I should have pointed out as well that public protection, noise, and odour consultations are always asked for their view on this, and they've come back with quite a short comment saying we've no objections to the variation in opening and closing times.
Okay.
So they don't see a noise nuisance issue.
So you've just asked a question. You've got the answer to your question.
No, sorry, it's earlier in the morning as well, is that
Yeah,
right?
rather than an 8 o'clock start, a 7 o'clock start.
Margaret, you wanted to say
So
something?
I was just going to say about the 7 o'clock. Obviously, there won't be a great rush on at 7 o'clock in the morning, but I'm just thinking it is quite early. I know you get your morning swimmers, because I'm one of them down at town, but I don't come home that way. I'm just thinking about the Penhaven. I'm not sure. Have you looked at footfall? Pardon?
Noise, though, it's, people go inside to buy
I
a coffee.
understand that, but we have to consider, we're here to represent residents.
Yes,
we have
and
to-
I'm just
we have
considering
to
that.
consider.
Public question time, because our guest is going to say
Yeah.
something. Hear the concern about noise. Have you got any comments on that?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I spoke to the Penhaven manager of the facility, and they took it to the board of directors because they were having their board meeting that day, and it came back everything happy. Everybody's happy with my new hours.
Presumably you'll tell them to, if they start shouting and stuff, you'll tell them to put a sock on it.
Coffee. Coffee.
There are no public objections
Yeah, no,
on the register.
The thing is, we have to ask questions.
And we have the answer. Francis?
It's just a comment, really. I think that because the Killer Court is a town council initiative, and we want to see it thrive and continue to be a real kind of cornerstone to Newquay as a town. Anything that we can do within the appropriate limits to local residents to encourage businesses and people to congregate in one or two or whatever, dog walkers as well as lots of others there, we should really support, and they're going to be very long days for you.
For me, what's surprising is I think the position is fantastic, and we have had problems getting an established cafe like this one going. I wish it the very, very best. And on that basis, I'm going to propose that we support the application. Okay, so Sarah's a show of hands to support the application. That's all we need, is it, Duncan?
That is all that we need. Your decision
Right,
is
thank you
made.
very much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
You can stay for the rest of it if you so wish.
Much
That was very
appreciated.
useful, thank you.
No, thank you. Please all come and say hello.
Yeah, we will.
We'll.
Okay, back to the agenda, active consultations, of which we have one. I'm not sure whether we're going to talk about this now or we'll report back from the the NMP working party. Have I got the right thing here, Duncan?
Yeah, so this is the Cornwall Council's interim policy position statement, grandly named. It has a deadline date of the 21st of February, if memory serves me correctly, and we have a meeting on the 19th of this committee, and you have a neighbourhood plan meeting.
We had it yesterday.
Oh, you had it yesterday. Oh, right. Okay. For anybody who doesn't know, Cornwall Local Plan provides a 5-year plan for the supply of housing stock. However, the new government has made changes to the National Planning Policy Framework that include a new methodology for calculating house supply. So that sees an increase per annum of about nearly 1,800 homes for Cornwall per year. This change has made the housing supply policies of the Cornwall Local Plan out of date, hence the need for this interim statement. I think the key position is that they are still retaining the presumption in favour of sustainable development. There are other issues around it, but it is a consultation, but we having been to some online training earlier in the week, last week, we did question whether there was much that we would really say about it, really.
We discussed it yesterday in the working party. I think we all agreed. I think it's a very useful document, a really good summary. The only comment I would like to put back to them is when they talk about the neighbourhood plan, and to make it clear for anybody listening, there is a difference between neighbourhood plans that are over 5 years old, who are, as ours is, was agreed in 2019, and some of the policies that we have will not have a good weight. It is not a question of it being illegal. That is, somebody said that, and that's absolute nonsense. But things like the settlement boundary, but we've already got problems with the settlement boundary because they decided that the allocations document that was written before our adopted afterwards. However, the allocation document is now gone. Basically what this document said is that there is no validity to their allocations document, which is how they've allocated to houses. So whether that exception which they applied, but we need to think in terms of, I think that was the only one of the document actually does about 4 or 5 where it says these policies could be in problem. They talk about buffers. Well, we've only got one buffer, and that's owned by the Duchy, so that's not a problem. They went through a list of things that would not be changed. The allocated green spaces, which we have, apparently they're saying that's no change. The one thing they didn't mention, and I would have liked them to include, which is our comment coming back, is they don't talk about the cliff protection policies, the coastal change policies. And that did not change in the NPPF. So it's stating the obvious, but I would like, if they would have considered doing it, is to add that one of the policies that won't change is anything associated with coastal change. Didn't change because the NPPF didn't change. Yes, Katie.
And if I understand rightly, it's an open consultation. Anybody could write a comment in. And we're also looking at writing a formal comment from this committee, right? But it is also anyone listening or anybody could write a comment in, right? Thank you.
This committee is, I think, charged with responding to it. That is what I'm recommending we do. Do you want more term because we can come back in a fortnight? Or are you happy that that is the comment we make?
Could we do what we've done a few times? So thank you so much for having read it and reviewed and held a meeting to discuss. We've had some good processes, I guess, late last year of just a draft going around on email and people getting to put a line or two in. So would that be possible? This response?
Is that okay with you, Duncan? Because I mean, that's what the working party,
no, I'm
which
asking
is
about
us,
the draft
said.
response.
But if you want to read it and come with any comments, if we can delay responding back until the other members of the committee have a chance to look at it. As I say, I think it's a very good document, very clear.
The request was, could we email, if you're going to write on behalf of us, could we see what is written?
Yes.
And yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That's no problem.
Well,
Do you want the
sometimes we have a comment.
Do you want the opportunity to make any
Thanks about
comments?
that. I do apologise.
I think if you're happy with that, Duncan, I think
So
that's
just
perfectly
can I
sensible.
just to summarise then, you want to make the observation that the cliff protection coastal change policies aren't specifically referred to. Could they be included in the policy position statement?
Yeah.
Yep.
And while we're on the review of the neighbourhood plan, it's probably worth saying that they're talking about providing a completely new local plan. They don't think they can start until 2026. Their target date, wait for it, is August 2028. There is an election in May 2029. So if anything slips, they are not going to get this out in the lifetime of the coming council. Which means, because I would advise very, very strongly that although we can work on the neighbourhood plan over the next, and should do so, the next council should work on the neighbourhood policy, look for things that we probably won't be able to do, pick up any changes, that effectively we do not wish to have our neighbourhood plan adopted until after the local plan is adopted, because if we don't, as we have found, a generalised policy that isn't meant to affect the neighbourhood plan overrides a specific policy in the local plan, in the neighbourhood plan. So we really cannot afford to adopt a new neighbourhood plan before the new local plan is there. Sorry, Katie.
Thank you, very helpful. And were you saying a moment ago that contrary to perhaps some confusion, the current Newquay neighbourhood plan does stand right.
But what they will say is certain policies may not have, it will not be given weight. One of them is the settlement boundary. That's specifically one. I think the others that we're going to struggle with are the parking policy, because I think there's going to be a lot of pressure to actually get rid of car parking. Who needs cars when you can walk everywhere? So that they will be coming along and saying, we don't want you to have car parking spaces because we're going to cram in more houses. And what's the other one? Oh, houses and multiple occupation. I think that one will also, there will be a lot of pressure to actually adopt houses and multiple occupation. That's my guess. So those particular policies, we don't know. But on the whole, I think, although our policy, the big test is whether you've got land allocated sufficient for your needs. Now, I'm not going to tell you what my guess is of how many is going to come towards Newquay. It's bound to be over 6,000, which is 2,000 higher than we've got. Sorry, Newquay and locality, because we are already on target to achieve that. So it's bound to be higher than that. But I would say that in our neighbourhood plan, since we've more or less allocated the entire project, including all the green space that the Duchy is retaining, we have in fact allocated more than enough land. Sorry.
No apologies. No, thank you. Really, really useful. Your point on the number of homes allocated, and then you raised the point a moment ago about HMOs, is given that an HMO has sort of separate, are they called, is each home
Is
called
each one a unit?
Yes.
The answer is I don't know, but
Yeah,
I think
that's-
we will be pressurised to. I think they may be included because I mean the HMO are basically separate units which share facilities like a
Exactly.
kitchen and a sitting room, and I suspect that will. Well, it's a very good question whether that goes towards the count or not.
Really fascinating
That's an
one.
extremely good question. Was one we will ask.
I never thought
But
of
I
that
think there
before
will be
either.
pressure now because they're talking about. I mean, there's a real demand.
You
for
hear
it.
that
So I think
national
that
word.
one will, and we've always had problems with it. I know it's very popular with residents, but it's always been quite an arguable one. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes. So I think they will. I think they should count it as if you have 8 families living in a house of multiple occupation, then they all have 8 separate households. So I say, then they should count that as 8 units. But I don't know. It's a good question for us to ask. Can we include that in our commentary? Yeah, probably easier just to go back to, well, Rob Lacey is probably the right person. What a good question. Yeah, that would be a really good one to answer. So it's going to be exciting times coming up. I don't think there was anything else we discussed at the meeting yesterday, was there?
I expressed my concern. It was that somebody raised the question as sort of like what developers are building dominantly is 3 and 4 bedroom homes, and their arguments were then families as they grow will physically move into a bigger house and free up smaller houses, which I think is completely erroneous, because the bulk of planning applications we see is the expansion of the existing house. People are not moving because they can't afford to. So they do need to allocate a larger proportion to 1 and 2 bedroom dwellings, please. I think they just need to look at their statistics for what's passed through with current planning applications. I think that was a completely erroneous red herring that they threw in there.
I don't think they go to that sort of. I don't think they go to that sort of level in the local plan.
But they,
Can I just finish? So because if you look at something like Heaven Help, it's the Saul Boys, that is a load of flats, and each of those are counted as a separate household. And that's what they're being measured on. What you're saying is perfectly logical and perfectly right, but it's not what they're being measured on. They're being measured on the number of units they're providing.
I think something else we need to comment on is going to be the rush to quickly pass things, just to get the numbers up, because the target numbers are on complete builds. It's not on the allocation of planning permission. And of course, developers are just sitting on planning applications and not doing it because we haven't got the building workforce. That's a whole different argument. So I think there's going to be a lot of controversy if they're not careful, because planning applications are going to come in, like the Sawboys one's going to come back. They're going to have to put in a new application there because the doctors isn't moving. But, you know, I think, you know, blocks of apartments and things are going to get rushed through to try, and you know, they're going to be under pressure from developers to you know, to do things. So I think, yeah, it's just going to be hard to manage. I think there's going to be controversy in there.
Right, because 'twas ever thus. I mean, what developers want to build are luxury flats on the edge of the cliff.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly solve any of Newquay's housing problems, but indeed.
No.
But there is no differentiation in the system that I know of at the moment. So, yeah, you're right, Sarah. There will be pressurised, that they will build what they want to build. The other interesting thing, which is probably worth it for the record, is that they are, this came from the training session, they are producing, they did a call for sites, and they are producing a map of, they got something like 683 responses. I don't know why I'm saying 683, but that's just a number that's stuck in my brain. Yeah. Anyway, they are going to produce a map to show where those sites are. And obviously, I mean, I can guarantee there's going to be stuff around us. So it'll be very interesting when that becomes available. I should be asking Duncan to actually distribute it around. Doesn't mean to say they're going to make planning applications, but it is interesting to see where they think those planning applications are going to be. As I say, I can guarantee we're going to get it. Well, maybe not us, but the locality is going to get some.
Could I just say we're going to return this comment. I'll email it around to everybody. First, it's quite a short comment just about including cliff protection processes. I just need a proposer and a seconder for that.
Margaret is seconded.
Thank you. Just for the record, yeah. Okay. Right. I think that's done. No, I think the Tren Creek, I did receive the Tren Creek, what's the word I'm looking for? The footpath extinguishing, etc. I received a confirmation that our objection had been received and that they were looking at it.
I believe that we missed, it wasn't until I read the guide that I realised there was such a thing as a buffer. I don't think we actually understood, and I think we missed a trick, that we should have made that little bit of woodland along the railway track a buffer between the development land and but we didn't, so we can't go back and do it now, but it's quite clearly a buffer between the railway track and the houses. But we didn't, so there we go. Something to remember next time is I don't know, but one of the things they're indicating is that buffers aren't counting anymore. So, as I say, the one we've got is 75% owned by the Dutch, who have no intention of developing on it. So that's all right. Okay, do we have
licensing applications? So yeah, there are two live ones that I need your responses by Friday for, but we have the purpose of this is to ratify the three that were done whilst I was away. Jacob sent them round to you. They were
sent us the results as well.
They were 7 Anthony Road, 38 St John's Road, and 17 Dale Road, and you all were recommended for approval, and you agreed to disagree, I think unanimously, with all of those.
Yeah. So we're not proposing to hear them going, all we're doing is passing a thing that the process has been followed. I propose the process has been followed. Yeah. Katie's shaking her head. Right, show of hands that the process has been followed. Can I just ask a question, because there is a bit of confusion as we have two now outstanding on Proud Park.
Can you differentiate between them?
What's the difference between them?
I haven't had opportunity, because they came in right at the end of play yesterday. I haven't really had opportunity to look very closely at them.
I solved the
I'll
problem
tell
by
you
only
what.
seeing one.
I'll tell you what though, leaping ahead to tomorrow, we are meeting the case officer for Skerryvore.
Oh, is that tomorrow?
That's tomorrow, 2:00. He is also the case officer who has sent around those protocols.
Mr. Xavier,
So we
isn't it?
could, Javier. So we could perhaps have a conversation with him, and maybe I can furnish you with a little bit more detail about the
Yes,
difference between
yeah.
these two Proud Park
Yeah. If you
5-day
could.
protocols. And I'll do that tomorrow for you, okay? Probably later in the day.
That
But
would
because
be
it came
helpful.
in so late and they were so long, I didn't really have an opportunity to properly read through them. I just got them out there as quickly as possible.
Because they seem to be covering the same ground.
Yeah.
They
Well, I think-
do,
Yeah.
but they are two separate applications.
Yeah.
I will hopefully be able to shed a little bit of light tomorrow
Yeah,
by
that would be
email,
very,
okay?
Yeah.
that would be very helpful, thank
Yeah.
you.
Don't let me forget when we meet
No, I
Javier
won't,
tomorrow.
Combined memory skills there.
Right,
So process following, that's good. Done application one.
right, and we're into applications. So, application, let me get this, it's telling me my Outlook is open. I'm not quite sure why it's telling me that. Right, so, pause while I get the right file open. Right, and, right, consider planning applications. We've done number one. Oh. And nothing comes out.
Oh.
I usually like to announce what number. Can you just announce what number two is while I'm waiting for this?
So this is planning application PA 25/00461. Proposed first floor extension over existing garage to provide bedroom with ensuite on 54 Penmere Drive, Newquay. Duncan.
Okay. Yeah, 54 Penmere Drive. Right, we have a location plan on the right there, and we have some elevations to look at. I'll just make sure that we're happy with where Penmere Drive is. Obviously in Pentyre, and it's I think the third house along here, and hopefully we've got a decent street view of it. Yes, indeed. So number 54 is this one with the white porch and the co-joined garage, and the application will see them building in an upwards direction on their part of this on their half of these two co-joined garages. Okay, so they'll be effectively filling in this space here. Oops, didn't want that. Right, we want some existing elevations, if I can find them. Yeah, that's your street-facing elevation there. I think that's possibly the most important elevation there, and you can see the space in which they're going to build. That's the existing, and the proposed. There we go. Yeah, so that's showing the proposed extension sitting over the garage. It's worth noting that the ridge height is lower than that of the main dwelling, and it follows the building line. So the front edge of it follows the building line of the garage rather than the main dwelling. The proposed east and west, as you can see, what I ascertained from these was that it was unlikely that the extension would result in a loss of light to the neighbouring property.
It's away from the other half of its.
Yeah, so this one here shows the main dwelling. You can see the brick sort of finish on it. The new extension in white, and that's the neighbour's co-joined garage, and then we have a look at the rear as well. So the extension is a little distant from the neighbouring dwelling. Obviously it's up against the garage, but it's a little distance from the actual habitable parts of the house. There is already a degree of, looking at the first floor level, there's already a degree of mutual overlooking because you've got first floor windows looking backwards, so no new views are being created.
Can you take us back to where it is again?
Yeah.
So we don't have a location plan apparently.
No, well, we do, but it's a little, we do have a location plan of just,
It's on one of the proposed elevations.
it's, yeah, you just, there we go.
Right.
How's that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't like the ridge height was at a different level, but just looking down the road, there's other extensions which have been put on which are lower than the ridge level of the houses. West.
There you go.
That's similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so because I mean, to me, it's
There you
not.
go, there's
Yes,
another one there.
that's the one
That-
I'm looking at the moment. So even though, yeah, I don't think it's very aesthetically pleasing, then the precedent's set on the opposite side of the road and down the road. So
the other side, garage, the house is coming forward and the building line is actually in line with the garage, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So by
my
bringing it forward,
understanding.
by bringing it forward, it's actually in line with the house next door. It's not jutting forward. That's what I was worrying about.
yeah, no. So that I didn't have a worry about that. It was the ridge height. It just looks odd. It looks like a.
I was worried that it was coming forward to the edge of the garage, but
No.
because the house next door is already like that, then I don't see that it's a problem. I don't particularly like it.
No, I don't.
But that's, we turned everything down because I don't
like
particularly
it.
like it.
No.
I didn't have anything through.
No.
I know it's nothing to do with planning, but I'm just intrigued because that's a shared wall, isn't it, between the two garages? How do they get that it's going to be structurally sound? I know that's nothing to do with us, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Turn that picture
It's
around.
quite, yeah, I
Would
mean, it's
that-
quite, it's not uncommon that we see these applications come in, we see the beautiful drawings of what it's going to look like, and then once they've got permission, the structural engineer is given a phone call, comes along and goes, oh dear, and it ends up being you end up having another application that will produce the same looking building, but it involves the demolition of the existing garage, and we've seen that a lot of times.
Yeah.
We don't know, Dave.
No, just a question.
Yeah. It's not I mean, looking at the proposed street plan, it's not an attractive, if you look at it from the front,
No, it's not.
it's a bit messy, isn't it? But there you go.
It's,
If the house next to it is actually in parallel, perhaps in context it would be better. But there you go. Right, anybody got any particular comments? Francis?
Just two comments. I know what you mean about the roof height, but I think possibly they thought it would be less dominant by staggering it than having like one big block. And to me, this goes back to what you were referencing towards the beginning of the meeting, where people aren't transitioning up from a 2-bed to a 3 or 4 bed. They're having to extend their home because it's a lot cheaper than paying all the associated fees, solicitors, tax, etc., and hassle, especially in a really lovely area like there. So, yeah, I can see why they're thinking this is a good way of giving themselves more square footage.
First of all, the proposed ground floor plan shows that the garage remains garage or storage space, whatever they're using it for. And then you're looking at this space here, so they're creating an ensuite at the right at the front, and then a small double bedroom which connects with the rest of the house.
That you can see that the next door neighbour is probably going to do exactly the same thing if they've got the money.
Yeah, but no, they can't. If you look at the plan, there's a gap between the next door neighbour with their garage. There's the gap between them. So it's
Sorry,
not
yeah,
it's not
the
attached.
garages are co-joined, but that's actually, but yes, so yeah, it's an interesting point, but.
Do you want to make a recommendation?
There's something else that's right. The ridge height that they're going to do of the extension is parallel to the garage ridge height at the moment. It doesn't. The reason it looks odd is because it's not similar with the house ridge height. So I think.
Looked at the street scene, the next door house came forward to the same level. So the next door house, can we go back to the street picture? Thank you, Duncan. Right, you can see that's come forward. So effectively what it's doing is it's coming forward to match the house next door.
No, it doesn't, because the house next door, the ridge, sorry, I'll point.
Yeah, it's different, it's different, but it's matching there. It's coming forward here, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Which is the same as that.
But it's also at the back. But the ridge for the new extension is not in line with the ridge of the house.
The top of the roof.
Yeah, the top of the roof.
It's staggered, yeah. It's a bit messy, but
It's
well, I think I'll propose no objection on the basis that I have a problem with the street scene, but I don't think it is sufficiently serious to warrant an objection.
What I was going to do was, what my note said, some concern about the appearance, but it's noted that similar designs and developments are already there.
I mean, you're nodding, Katie. Will you second that? Yeah, so show of hands to go no objection to that one.
Can we add as well some solar panels and the usual bump on that, please, as well?
Yeah, right. Well, they would do well to put solar panels on the existing roof, actually, but there you go.
Yeah, well, they could put it on the back, it would face south.
Right, so hang on, now I'm going to close everything up again, since I've now got my computer to work by the old-fashioned method of switching it off and switching it on again. So we're now on to application 3, another household building application, PA 25/00465, raising the eaves to existing rear gable to create improved living accommodation at first floor. Construct new gable with an existing roof space to rear. Replace existing concrete roof tiles with natural slates, new roof windows, alterations to window door openings, and removal of steel stairs. And installation of solar panels.
Yes.
Duncan, can you take us through this one?
Certainly, 74 Edgecombe Avenue. So this is one of the houses that's opposite. We were talking about paddle tennis a little bit earlier, weren't we? You see the court there, opposite the Heron Tennis Centre. Just come down to street view. And there we go. And some of you may recognise that as the Henwoods, indeed. It doesn't appear to have the sign up there, but it had there, indeed. There it is. It is on older versions. Yes, indeed. So there are several elements to this application. So they're raising the eaves to the existing rear gable to create improved living accommodation at first floor. They're constructing a new gable within the existing roof space to the rear, replacing the concrete tiles that you can see here with natural slate tiles, not a composite, a natural slate tile. They are adding new roof windows, and they're making some alterations to window and door openings and the removal of some steel stairs. I think you can just about see the steel stairs. Then just next.
Oh, I hadn't realised.
So I think you can just about see the steel stairs there, but we'll see them on the drawings. Minimise that. Right. Yeah, just so that you've an idea of the plot size. And the generous nature of the plot size. Also, the proximity to neighbours. So, as the description suggests, quite a lot of the work is to the rear, and you can see that it's to the rear. You've actually got the light industrial units, and we could have a quick look at those if you want to on the street view. It doesn't appear that there have been any local objections so far. I would suggest that the proximity from the neighbours probably has a lot to do with that, because these houses really are on quite a generous plot. They aren't one on top of each other. So I was going to have a look at the elevations. Just give me a moment. Right, so that's your, if we just look at all four of them at once, you can just get an idea when you see the proposed of the change. That north elevation in particular sort of shows the, well, both the north and south elevations.
Which is the one that faces the road?
The one facing the road is the east elevation, which is the top left as you're looking at them. But you can see the works to the roof at the rear. If you look at the two drawings on the right side, you can see appreciate the increase in mass to the rear of the building.
But the road facing is not changing. Is that what you're saying?
No, it really isn't. So yeah, so. That's the existing street-facing elevation. That's the proposed. The only difference I think that you'll really see is the removal of this steel staircase that we've already mentioned, and obviously the roof tiles will be replaced with a natural-looking, with a natural slate.
Wasn't there a chapel and rest in there as well?
That was in the light industry.
Bringing it up to almost up to the side. The west is kind of. You can see that's your existing. So this is looking at it sort of from the rear garden, if you like. So you can see the raised the raised gable and the new gable that they're adding. There's not really much more to say about that. They are creating new rear-facing views at first floor level, but as we've established, it's a huge garden, and then it's looking onto industrial, light industrial units anyway.
How many bedrooms are they planning to put in? It become 5 bedrooms.
Yeah, it becomes a 5.
Ensuite downstairs.
As you've got 3 bedrooms and then only one of them. Oh yeah, they are all en suite, aren't they?
No, they're not. No, only
There's a big there's a big separate bathroom.
Yeah, only 2 of the bedrooms are en suite upstairs.
So it
front
looks
two
like
don't.
it's going to be a 5-bedroom house. It's
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
doesn't seem. Well, can we have a look, just to look at the street scene from the back, just to see, because it appears to be only the back that's affected. So that's staying like that.
Yeah, yeah. Just the roof changing.
Well, you can't even see that from this side angle, I don't think.
You can't see.
No.
So basically, the house is the other side of these units
Yes.
here. So it's going to have, you know, it's
So
not
those
really
units
going to
are
be
actually-
visible unless you were in
Those
those
units
units.
are actually owned by Henwood, with where you're looking at.
I think only the one, the other one's, isn't it?
Yeah, there's the
It used to be
MJ Christopher's on one
yeah.
side.
Used to be cash and carry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chaffins.
yeah, shop.
Chaffins, cashing. Oh, yes.
Oh, I can't see anybody, does anybody see any problem with this? I'm going to propose we support. Who seconded that? Margaret, I think. So show of hands, we're all supporting.
I'll just mention our policy
Fits into
number.
the
I'll
street
just mention the policy number then.
It
in
was good
terms
to
of
read the back report.
extensions.
Yes.
Yeah.
H1, isn't it? And then appreciate that they are coming.
Yeah, we had with all that increase in roof height though, there's no Southwest Water comment. Can we?
That's
Can-
really not our that's not really not our responsibility to comment on that.
But I think we can put in that in terms of they need to look at in terms of what they're going to be doing with their runoff, please.
Yes.
And putting a
Possibilities of rainwater collection.
yeah, soak away, yeah.
It's because they aren't really adding much to the footprint of the building, and building up shouldn't really have much of a difference.
I thought there was a bit.
Application 4, another householder, PA25/00567, proposed extension associated alterations replacing existing dormers at first floor, Driftwood House, 61 Bonython Road.
So that's just out of interest. As we're saying, that's 3 out of the 5 applications is about the expansion of the house.
Yeah.
Right then, so starting off with it's actually, yeah, the point is actually on the wrong one. It's actually the property to the immediate right, one's on the corner of Bonython and Praise Road. And the street view.
Not the house called Driftwood House.
It is.
It is.
Sorry, it's the red point out view. Every time I did it earlier, it would, when I put in 60, well, you can see there it's marked 61, but that's actually 59. 61 is this one here. And it's got a red point on it now.
Which is on, oh.
Anyway, street view. And there you go. It's we have got some earlier views of it. So before the hedge grew, this is a 2009 picture.
Very different now, if you...
Yes, indeed it does it. You can. I seem to remember that. Yeah, there was a useful view there from 2017, which I think reflects what the house largely looks like now. Except I think that an up-to-date view would actually show that this has been fenced. I think if we go back down here.
There's a lot of bushes.
Yes, there you
wall
go.
and
There are lots of bushes.
The more up to date, the 2023 shows that it is actually all fenced off now, as well. Okay.
Brilliant photos of the house. I guess it's an Airbnb or something. If you type in Driftwood and just look on the left of what comes up, it's quite helpful to sort of helps you see why they might want to go up.
The one that's further up.
Sorry, you want me to
Yes,
type
if
in
you type Driftwood again, in the house you have there,
Yeah.
the first one, and then if you scroll down on the left there, on the left, well, no, if you keep it open like it was like you just had it, with,
Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right, there was a house that displayed.
yeah, we were seeing the house on the left, so there's a little arrow on the left of your screen. Yep, and then scroll down, just roll down there, and then there were, on my one, there's a whole lot of photos coming up. If I click on the first photo at the top, then it starts showing all the others.
What are we looking at, Eva?
We're showing you what it looks like now.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it gives you, so now you can see why they might just want to go up. I presume that seems to be what the designs are showing.
The block plan, again, just showing you the red line site, but the red dotted lines highlighting the dormers that are to be replaced, okay? We've got an existing and a proposed site plan. Hopefully they'll both open up. So that's your existing site plan. That's your proposed. You'll see that there's no real change in the footprint of the building. There is just a small addition to the patio on the right side there. And there is a creation of a new entrance at the rear on the left-hand side there, okay? So that's the proposed. The elevations. Let's just have a look. What size is that? Right. Okay. So the initial comparison, if we just look at the side elevation, so the east and west, so the ones on the left side of your screen, that's the existing, and that's the proposed. Show the proposed work at the front and the rear of the building effectively. Creates a noticeable increase in floor space at first floor level, as you can appreciate, I think. Okay. Floor plans. Again, just make this slightly larger. So if you look at the existing ground floor, which is the one on the left to start with, then you'll see that there's no noticeable change in the footprint of the building. At first floor level, as we've said, there's a noticeable increase in the floor space at first floor level. You've got at the front of the building the Benython Road side. You've got larger living room space being created. So there is one there at the moment, an office and living room space. It's creating a much larger living room, dining room space, and then to the rear they're creating a dedicated what looks like office and storage space. So
was building on this corner, and I don't think it was 61, but I see 14A sort of put a square block next door to them, and that was what caused a lot of problems because they felt it was out of keeping with the street scene. So what are they doing with the garden? It's all sort of covered by a hedge, isn't it?
yeah, and it's I think as we established, there's no real change in the actual footprint of the building, so they're not losing any garden. There's a tiny little bit of increase in the patio. The east side is the one that's visible from Praise Road. So when looking at it, I sort of said, would there be any new views at first floor level? Yes, there will, but it is almost 40 metres from the single-storey properties on the other side of the road. On the west, so the bottom left-hand drawing that you're looking at, there's one new window here, creating a new side-facing view towards number 59.
That's the office there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the office, exactly, that is the office, well pointed out. And the north elevation, well, there's already, if we go back to that street view, there's already a significant view out across Benython Road to those houses on the opposite side of the road. And the south elevation shows actually a reduction in fenestration in windows that are looking towards this house that you can just see at the back here, 14A.
Can
So-
we look at the street scene and just go up Praise Road, which is next to it? The higher numbers of Praise Road, 14 and what have you. Go up that a moment. Swing
So I
round.
measured this at about 40 metres the distance from these new windows to these single-storey properties.
Go up
About 40
Praise Road- If
metres.
you go up Praise Road a little and then swing over.
Yeah, a bit further.
No, that's fine. If you now swing over, I think there was a house that developed when it shouldn't have done and got great mammoth gates, but I can't see them. So whether they've actually removed the gates. We carry on back down Praise Road again towards the sea.
Photo's old, there's a white fence there now.
Yeah, I think
There is a,
because it was awful. It made it look like
I,
coal.
I don't think
This is
that one.
the most
Yeah.
up-to-date.
Yeah.
The last time the Google car went down here was April 2017. So
So if you keep going down back to where you came, yeah, and then it's on the yes, okay, fair enough. There aren't any objections apart from the site people are saying it's fine. Anybody got any comments on this?
Yeah, I would just raise, I don't see any solar panels on the design. So, and in the rainwater harvesting as well, especially in that area with the flooding they've had. And good to see they did their bat survey, as did the other one.
You going to make a proposal?
So I'd rather no object than support.
Why would you not understand what?
It's substantial, but we don't have any objections from neighbours or anything. I'm nervous about whether neighbours are even aware of it, really, to be honest.
It's a special area, but they've already lost the sort of that lovely garden approach they had here. So I
don't think
would
it's so
support
far over.
I would support because it's an unusual extension. It's pretty much like the last
Eco efforts to it, and we've had plenty of other applications where there are solar panels and all sorts of other eco efforts. So those are my grounds for not supporting it. That
So you're going to propose
no objection, though. Yeah.
Is that sufficient? Have we got sufficient for no objection there?
So it ticks a lot of boxes, but it doesn't quite tick all of them. That's how it's horses for courses, really. But if Katie's proposing that and has a seconder,
But Francis is first. Show of hands and no objection on that
Yeah,
basis?
fair
Thank
enough.
you very much.
I think you could have done either.
Interesting that when we did the no objection or something that's just come through, you know, because we no objected, we got something back, didn't we? Which we so you get a bit more information coming back on no objections.
Yes.
Right.
Very true.
Oh, is this the one you have to leave the room?
Yeah.
Right. I think it's good. This is the remodel. Have we seen this before? The remodelling of a tennis court. This is PA 2500569. It's the Sands Family Resort, and they are remodelling the tennis court to provide padel courts. Padel courts. As you can tell, my next question was going to be, what are padel courts? 3 doubles and 2 singles, with perimeter enclosure, fabric-covered pitch roof, and lighting. And then they've got 2, 3, 4, and 6, which I assume was saying the 2024 application was probably saying to build it according to the plans or whatever.
Yeah. So, on your comments document, you'll see application 5. The comment that's on there is actually our comment from back in April, when we agreed to support the proposed remodelling of the existing tennis courts to provide the padel court with perimeter enclosures, fabric-covered pitch roof and lighting. Permission was subsequently granted. The work was then completed. Then the named storm Dara, hit over the weekend of the 7th and 8th of December and destroyed the paddle courts completely. Supporting frames, roof fabric, infrastructure, the whole lot.
I thought, is that really strong enough to stand? I don't think we said anything about it. Are you sure?
So,
I'm getting something concrete now, Rory.
so well, no, it had plenty of concrete, but it's if you're reading the I've actually seen a video that one of my colleagues, a friend of hers, took up there, and it's just a sea of broken glass and metal framework. It absolutely, hopefully you can appreciate from the pictures there, Storm Dara, which did nearly take the roof off my garage, absolutely destroyed this. So they wish to rebuild. We're now being asked to look at revised plans. They are effectively the same, but they will provide a more robust structure. A fabric roof that has been tested to withstand stronger coastal wind conditions. External walls are being made of a stronger material, and they are really, a lot of this is structural, because it's really it's almost like the drawings almost look identical to what we supported previously. The interesting bit I thought was conditions 4 and condition 6, which related to the biodiversity net gain and habitat management that the applicant was being asked to take on. They were conditions, as I say, on this on the existing permission, and those conditions were discharged in September, and they would like that work to be, they would like any permission granted to accept the fact that they've already done that eco work already. Yeah. And it has been discharged by Cornwall Council. They don't really want to have to do the same thing again because they've already done it.
Why do they need planning permission for this?
Because I believe they are, I almost don't know, because I think it's more structural than, to me, it came across as more structural, but part, yeah, so I'm not entirely certain. And they do want to, if you like.
If you get a few minutes to read the damage report, it's a joy.
Yeah, I know, Mr. Ashworth must have, Mr. Ashworth must have been heartbroken at this.
Anyway, I'm happy to propose support.
On the eco discharge, something. Can you just say a bit more about that?
Could you describe what were they assessing? Was it when they're putting the ground down, or do you know at all? The applications here do not have the normal sort of nature assessment, which may be fine. It's just, yeah, what is it that we're meant to be? But the original one's not there, though. Well, there is no original one in the... Oh, there are 25. Oh, hang on. Oh, you do have 25. I see. Okay.
To be honest, we don't tend to look at these that closely in the...
As long as Cornwall Council is have been resolved and they didn't need to set them again, I don't see why we would have a problem with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an interesting point. I mean, they're referring to...
Replaced through new native woody mixed scrub and neutral. These habitats are being replaced through new native woody mixed scrub and, okay, so essentially something, you know, grass, whatever was being pulled out and they've replaced it with new native woody mixed scrub.
On that, I guess my question is, the changes, the eco changes that they made at the time when they built the padel courts, were they also ripped up by Storm Dara or not? Because if they were also ripped up by the storm, then surely they should be replaced like for like, as opposed to replaced by nothing or anything else. That was my point.
Here on bird nesting and foraging habitat, so this document seems to be saying that they had agreed to plant scrub and grassland that would create that needed bird nest, ensure that bird nesting habitat. So I have the same curiosity that with big metal things flying everywhere, was some of that habitat destroyed? Are they just bringing it back again? Yes, brilliant. Thank you. Yes, or are being replaced as needed.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
On that basis, I'm prepared to propose support. Okay. Right, okay, back to the agenda. That was the last of the applications. Right. Terms of reference and risk assessment. We haven't changed our terms of reference, I take it, at this point.
We certainly haven't.
Right, reports and association recommendations. Well, we've talked about the Newquay Neighbourhood Plan. Community governments, we've got nothing on that. That will probably come back in the new council. And parking, we've got nothing specific on parking, have we? We did everything we needed to do on that. Financial statement, have we spent any money? Nope.
No, sorry, you have spent no money and there are no payments to be authorised.
Right, okay. Any other correspondence?
No, I've a couple of emails that I've received that I may mention to you, just as discussion items only, if you want.
Do you want to do them now or wait?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
We've got the next bit is items for information and discussion only.
Yeah, so I I had some correspondence from some of the residents near, the Calcliff Hotel was pulled down up in Porth, was pulled down, and they're putting up units. I think we took a long time to get to an acceptable application. Some of the residents there have been in touch. And I've signposted them on and given them some advice, but they were upset because the site office that has been built there, which is, as is often the case, out of shipping containers, one on top of the other, and these people are dwarfed and are concerned that there are now views into their property from the site office. I've spoken to planning about it, and I've given some advice to the people concerned. But apparently, this was a learning point for me, under the general permitted development rules, really developers can do whatever they like in terms of setting up site offices. There's no real rules. It is, isn't it? It's not brilliant.
Oh, that's not nice.
I thought I'd bring that to your attention just because I just thought it was interesting.
Sometimes they put a site office actually on the highway, or and that they're not supposed to do.
Oh, right.
And
this is on the site, but it's
But instead of going beside each other, going up
there's
and
one at the end
looking
of
down.
Pentarth, it was dreadful.
really the only advice is to go and have a chat with them and see if they would be happy to do something about it, which seemed a little bit of a dead end. But anyway, I'm hoping that we'll hear back how if that problem was resolved at all.
Right, the only other item is the fact that we've got this site meeting. I am going to also send them a quick note to say, would you like to have a look at the Jabarith Hotel and the netting underneath it? Because it's full of boulders at the moment, and I think the cliff people who are coming to this meeting should take a look at that as well. I'll send out a note round. Okay. Are you going to this one, Duncan? Yeah. It'll be interesting. And where are we actually meeting I haven't actually are we actually meeting on the site, not the beach?
I think that we're meeting on site, but I shall ask him. I shall drop him an email and find out. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll drop him an email saying, if we got time, actually it's Teresa and that team who's going to be there to say, can we have a quick look? When we finish, can you have a quick look? And the best place to see this from is from the tram tracks, because that is a concern what's happening there.
My understanding is that we would just be meeting outside the front of 16.
So that's what
16.
we're doing.
We have got a presentation.
That's the next meeting, is it?
Yeah. So we've got a presentation ahead of the next meeting at the 5:30 slot, and that's to do with the proposals for the Hotel Victoria.
Yeah.
I've no idea what they're going to talk about. Yeah, that's the 19th.
Yes. Which is a Tuesday. Is that the one that's a Tuesday?
Sure.
No, it's Wednesday.
I think that's Wednesday. I think there is another Tuesday following.
At one point they were talking
Yeah,
about
the March
coming.
one
They were
is the
talking about
Tuesday.
coming. So we think they're coming at 5:30 on the. They're saying when they discussed it, because one of the people I know rang me and said it's very early days. They just want to make quite sure that we approve of what we think they might do. So I suggested they have a look at the coastal change management policies. And that will be 5:30, will it, Duncan?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5:30. Yeah,
Okay, that's the next meeting.
that's our next meeting.
Right.
How many applications are we looking for so far?
Do you have any idea how many we're going to get?
I think I've got 4 or 5 at the moment, so
Yeah,
they're
still got a fortnight
they're not
to go.
flooding in, but it's perhaps a slightly busier meeting.
Right. Has anybody got anything else they want to say? It's 7:20. This is to be recommended. Right. So thank you very much for coming in. Margaret, particularly, thank you. As we needed you when we did, and it would have been silly not to be able to talk about that one. So we'll see you again, some of us, well, hopefully everybody tomorrow, full council, and then on the 19th of February at 5:30.
No, your apologies.
Duncan.
Yeah.
The meeting, we have 3 meetings in April. one of which is on the 30th of April. You may not have hit your attention that actually there is an election on the 1st of May. So I will certainly not be there on the 30th of April. I don't think Sarah will be there on the 30th of April, so we may need to look at rescheduling that one. And I suppose also, no, Councillor Morris won't be. And the other issue, of course, is any idea